Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Just Shauna here to talk about a friggin' book. And the book in question, of course, is The Silverblood Promise by James Logan. And this one, I believe, is a debut. I got an e-arc on NetGalley, and I think on Storygraph it says that it is due to be published, or now was published, on April 25th. But when I went back in NetGalley, it said May 5th, so I'm not actually, I think May 5th is accurate. I would think that that would be more accurate. So it either has just come out or is about to come out. I'm recording this on the 28th. So summary, premise, setup of this one. We have our main character, Lucan, who is the son of a noble house, but he is disgraced in his society, high society, all the other nobility, because he had a duel with some guy when he was at university, and he killed the guy on accident. And it was this big thing, and he's kind of like exiled from his family because he not only embarrassed his father, but then bankrupted his father. I think their fortunes were kind of already failing a little bit, and then his dad had to pay off this other family, and they were just destitute after that. He kind of has been spending his time over the last however many years just gallivanting around, gambling, drinking, getting up to shenanigans, and just aimlessly kind of floating around. Until his father is murdered and leaves a very cryptic note in his own blood for his son. And this inspires Lucan to try to figure out who murdered his father and why, and bring them to justice to avenge his father. And this mission takes him to a different kingdom, continent, country, where he gets up to a lot of little shenanigans and adventures, including a conspiracy to overthrow the current government. And he meets a few very, very interesting characters, including a little street urchin pickpocket named Flea, who is an 11-year-old girl who kind of becomes his little companion throughout all of these adventures. Spoiler alert, I quite enjoyed this one. It's not necessarily a new all-time fave or anything like that, but I had a good time. So for rereadability, I could see myself rereading this depending on how I feel about the sequel, and then if I like that one, you know, however many, I don't know if it's gonna be a trilogy or what, but yeah, there's definitely possibility for me to enjoy this whole series enough where it could be something I would want to reread. For the writing, I did feel like the author kind of, in a few places, it felt a little like convenient info dumping disguised as character dialogue, like two characters talking and having a conversation that was a little bit like, would they really be talking like this? And they're just like divulging all this, you know, relevant information to the reader, but not enough that it really bothered me a lot. It was just a couple times that I noticed it. But other than that, I had no issues with the writing style nor the dialogue. Like, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was a writing style that I was wowed by necessarily, but it wasn't one that I had issues with either. And for the characters, Lucan as a main character, I really liked him. He's kind of like frat guy-ish a little bit. He was likable to me though. He isn't some like highly moralistic, duty-bound, like bore to me, as I find those characters to be. And I wouldn't even say he was like I said, he was kind of like a frat guy a little bit, but he didn't feel to me like a likable douche. Like, I like him even though he's like such a douche canoe. He wasn't like that. To me, he read as like a really good guy who smarts off at the mouth way too much, like, and kind of gets himself in trouble a few times. You're like, dude, why would you say that? And he tends to just like not take himself or anything too seriously a lot of the times, which can be like funny and entertaining, and then other times you're like, bro, what, stop, you know? And Flea, the little 11-year-old that kind of becomes his companion, I loved Flea, such a little spitfire. And I loved her almost like immediate loyalty to Lucan. He was someone clearly highborn, or from like, you know, born in nobility, and someone like that showing her like even an ounce of grace and understanding or mercy, I think was just so unfamiliar to her that she couldn't help but be intrigued by him and like him and kind of want to follow him around and see what he was about. I wouldn't say that any of the characters were like new faves. Once again, I wasn't like obsessed with them, but I liked them well enough. And then for the plot, I did really enjoy it. Once again, nothing like earth-shatteringly, oh my god, the most amazing thing I've ever read or anything like that. It was just really fun. There was like a lot of adventure. There's his like overall like kind of goal of finding out who murdered his dad. And in the process of this, he gets into like all these other little like kind of side quests, and they're all connected, but yeah, just various little like, okay, now I gotta go see this person, and I gotta go do that, and then I talk to them, and now we realize now I gotta go here, and just little adventures here and there. Also, I am a sucker for lore in a world, lore, history, ancient civilizations that, you know, they know a little bit about. So there's like this whole element of that in here with the Pharaon, and it was very intriguing to me. We didn't get a lot about it. I obviously would assume in future installments we will learn a lot more. And yeah, I hope that I like the sequel equally as much. More would be great. I hope that I feel like the sequel is fun and entertaining like this, because that's why, like, I could see myself rereading it, not because I'm so like obsessed with anything about it necessarily, but just because like I am so ready for just a like fun, entertaining, adventurous fantasy series with some cool lore and shit. Like, that would be such a good one to have to like for rereading in the future, you know, if I'm reading a bunch more like dense, heavy stuff, or longer series, or series with like way more characters and like it's more complex, to like have this one in between as just like a fun, entertaining, I'm gonna have a good time, I'm gonna enjoy the ride, little kind of, I don't want to say palate cleanser, but just one to pepper in, you know? Like in these adventures, Lucan comes across these like boisterous, kind of two-faced, backstabbing sailors, a sneaky Spitfire little child thief that won't take no for an answer, rulers of this like underworld of crime, a smuggler turned city council member who is falsely imprisoned for murder and basically on death row, a group of ruthless, very stubborn mercenaries, a master forger who forces people to go through a very mentally exhausting and difficult, as well as physically painful, little kind of game of chance in order to even talk to her, and a master thief who has become a legend, essentially, for her supposed ability to walk through walls. I just felt like the pacing was good. It's not, of course, going to be everyone's cup of tea if you are someone who doesn't really like kind of more, like, there's serious stuff going on for sure, and we're talking about things, and it's not all just like this frivolous, silly fun and games, but some people don't love a fantasy story that is mostly like fun, adventurous little plot stuff. So it might not be for everyone, but I really enjoyed it. I had a fun time with it. Definitely themes of family, of loyalty, doing the right thing in the face of extreme consequences and likely death, or at the very least imprisonment, and just sacrifice in general. I ended up rating this 4.25, which maybe sounds weird since I'm saying that there's, you know, it's not new favorite characters necessarily, and it's not necessarily my new favorite plot and like world or whatever, but it was all just like so solid, and the entertainment value was like a little higher than just solid. Like, I was very, very entertained. I really, really enjoyed it. It just worked for me. Wasn't a perfect book by any means, but was a really, really good, fun time. So I would recommend, if any of that sounds intriguing to you, check it out. Like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined and you have not already. And of course, as always, I'll say, if you just want to make your presence known, you know, help out with the algorithm, I don't know, you can leave a little emoji of some sort. That's always fun. Well, that's all. I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because it was a NetGalley e-arc that I actually quite enjoyed. It's been a while, I think, since I've come across a NetGalley e-arc that like I wanted to do an individual review about. So I had the urge and I said, all right, I should do it then. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.